Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We're coming to you from the NJTV Agnes Ferris studio in beautiful Newark, New Jersey. That's right, he's here. He is Jon Bramnick. He's the Assembly Republican leader. In the 21st Legislative District, let me ask you this. All the attention on you, a lot of money in your race, Democrats coming at you on one end, right-wing Republicans coming at you on the other end. Some people said it was going to be over for Jon Bramnick. What happened?
I think just common sense prevailed. You know, they knew me in the district. They know I'm not crazy. I'm not an extremist. And I think in today's world, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who's, in my judgment, just a moderate, reasonable, decent human being. Tough to find in politics today.
And also, you're reelected as a Republican Assembly leader. I should clarify that as well. In the minority party. Curious about this. A lot of other names thrown around in your district. How important was the influence of President Trump in your election?
Well, it didn't play a big role this time. Governor Murphy actually played a big role. When he said...
He wasn't on the ballot.
On a big role. Because he went out and he said, if taxes are your main issue, New Jersey's not for you. Now, do you want to send him 2 more votes? And I think people say, you know, I think I like balance in Trenton. I don't think Governor Murphy's tax policy needs 2 more votes. I think that played much larger than Trump. Trump is not popular in my district. And
by the way, if you check out our previous interviews with Assemblyman Bramnick, you'll hear the very candid comments that he's made about the president, and particularly about tone and demeanor.
And I'll continue to say it, and I'm not afraid. And actually, they threatened me that if I didn't regret what I said about the president, they would run against me from the right. I said, bring it on. That's exactly what I said.
Why are so many of your colleagues, I'll come back to Murphy in a second, why are so many of your colleagues in the Republican Party, particularly in Congress, look, we're doing this program in the middle of November. We know what's going on. This will be seen after that. Why are so many of your congressional Republican colleagues appear to be so reluctant to say anything negative, question anything about President Trump?
Because of what happened to me. 2 people said they were the Trump Republicans, and they ran in a general election.
Meaning you weren't the real Republican, Trump Republican.
Well, you're asking me why the Republican Congress people will not speak out? It's because these so-called right-wing people run against you. But I was speaking out against, he called people names, he called Republicans scum, he called John McCain a loser. Let me tell you, that has nothing to do with politics. That's basic decency. And I called it out, and I do it again. I'm not afraid to call out somebody in my party when they're talking about that. I never say anything about 3% unemployment, which I like. So my point is...
You're not talking about Trump's policies so much. It's his tone and demeanor.
Don't call people names. I learned that in 3rd grade in Cedarbrook School in Plainfield, New Jersey.
Pretty simple, right?
Don't do it. And if you're afraid to call somebody out when they're calling people names, I got a problem with you.
So the Murphy piece. I interviewed Governor Murphy. We'll have him here in this studio, but I interviewed him on the air, and I was radio hosting at AM 970, which you know well, subbing for our friend Joe Piscopo. And the governor was good enough to join us, and I asked him about that quote, in which I believe, I'm going to get this right, he said, if taxes are the issue or one of the main issues, then for you, then maybe New Jersey's not the state for you. Do I have that right?
Well, it's close enough, but the only important issue here is you could say, you know, I'm going to do what I can about taxes. Don't act like, well, if taxes are your issue, you should move. What you should say is, listen, I understand taxes.
He didn't say you should move. He said maybe New Jersey's not the state for you.
How about saying I'm going to do what I can to control taxes? Why don't you say that?
Because I'll tell you what he said to me in that radio program, which I'm confident he'll say here because he hasn't changed his view. He said, look, Steve, I don't want to raise taxes, but I want fairer taxes. I want taxes that are fair in New Jersey.
So
and those who have more, $1 million or more, and making every dollar over $1 million, we're going to raise your taxes so that we can fund other programs like universal pre-K and other initiatives. You say?
Well, I said that's what he should have said. He should have talked about the millionaire's tax. It's always polled well.
Right.
Don't say New Jersey's not the place for you. I've spoken to working people go like this. Wait a minute, I've been here my whole life. It's not the place for me. You know, people don't hear exactly what you say. They hear what they hear. So what I'm saying is, if he had said what Steve Adubato just said, we wouldn't have had a great issue against him. Now we do.
Where do you think the governor is at the midpoint of his 4-year term? What has he done well, and where has, well, you already made it clear where you think he hasn't done well on a tax issue, but go ahead.
He's done well because he's very civil. He returns everybody's messages.
He's like you that way. He's respectful with other people.
He's a nice guy. He was in my house, you know, really nice guy. The problem is he's not talking to his own party. He says he's not transactional. Really? Well, you're now the governor, and you're trying to get something done. You have to negotiate, at least with your own party. He's not even talking to his own party. He has a poor relationship with the leadership on the Democratic side.
Talking about Steve Sweeney in particular?
And I don't think it's great with Coughlin anymore either.
The Assembly Speaker?
Especially when the governor intervened into Assembly elections. He put his face on TV through his New Direction PAC in the middle of our election. I loved it. I don't think Greg Coughlin loved it. The point is this. You have to be transactional. That's what politics is. He's in a progressive lane. He wants to do what he wants to do. He's making no friends, and you don't need friends. At least you need partners. Chris Christie, what did he do? Immediately started dealing with Steve Sweeney, got stuff done.
You know, it's interesting. People call themselves Democrats and Republicans, but there are a lot of different versions of that, right, John?
Of course.
And you're a moderate.
Democrats I like, and Republicans I like, and Republicans I don't like, and Democrats I don't like.
Do you see, if we're looking at 2020, and I'm not big on prognostication and predicting elections, but in your view, has the Republican Party, because we had Governor Christie Whitman in here earlier today and said she's a lifelong Republican, she doesn't relate to President Trump.
No,
you're a lifelong Republican? Yeah,
she's
you're a lifelong Republican, you don't relate to him on certain issues.
Right.
And on, on tone and demeanor. Is the Republican Party, Jon Bramnick, at this point, simply the Trump Party?
Absolutely not. In New Jersey, it's not.
Okay, is New Jersey, if someone like you gets elected, you have other states across this nation where Republicans are locked shoulder to shoulder with the president, will not deviate at all, meaning they believe the Republican Party is the Trump Party. Is New Jersey that out of sync with the rest of the nation?
I would say with respect to Republicans, yeah, I think we're a different brand of Republicans. I think we're a more moderate group than certain states that are 100% with Donald Trump. I think we agree on certain issues and disagree. But I think, obviously, Republicans in New Jersey generally tend to be more moderate. I've been at national conventions, and I think we're a little bit to the left of some of the Republicans.
New Jersey is.
General, but you saw Tom Kaine Sr.,
yes.
Chris Christie. He didn't run as a right wing. Actually, Steve Lonigan ran against him because he was too moderate. Tom Kaine Sr., he was an environmental champion. He was about inclusion. So I don't think that's what you're hearing through some Republicans nationally.
Jon Bramnick, who is a Republican Assembly leader, let me ask you your top 3 issues in 2020 for the state legislature to deal with are?
1, taxes. We got to cap spending. Clearly, there should be a 2% cap. Second,
explain that. 2% cap.
Well, right now, every town can't raise their budgets by more than 2%. State of New Jersey goes up by 11% in 2 years. We should be capped at 2% also.
If that were to happen, how would you make pension payments into the Public Employee Pension Fund? How would you fund roads, bridges? How would you fund New Jersey Transit? How would you do the things that everyone argues, universal pre-K, other things? How would you do that if there's a 2% cap?
How do towns do it? Same issue. You have to sit down and you have to figure out what your priorities are, but you can't keep taxing people out of the state. Next, this affordable housing issue is no longer an affordable housing issue. It's court-imposed high-density housing, a complete, utter mess. Putting pressure on schools, putting pressure on infrastructure, and raising property taxes.
Those who are advocates, excuse me, if Assemblyman argue, they're just trying to create affordable housing.
It's up to the legislature. Why would you turn that over to the courts?
Because the courts step in when they say the legislature hasn't acted.
Exactly, and that's why the legislature take on the issue and take care of it. Why are the Democrats in the legislature deferring to the courts?
Why do you think?
Well, because it's too dangerous.
What's dangerous about it?
What's dangerous? The Democratic legislators from suburban districts are afraid of the issue.
They are.
You bet. It's a dangerous issue. And third, it's always been my third issue has always been doing a demeanor in Trenton that we talk to each other in a way that we can get some compromise of bipartisan. If you don't do that, you can't get anything done.
By the way, before I let you out, how's your comedy career going?
Good. Comedy's good. I got some new material, actually, after this election, because they did $250,000 against me on TV. Yeah. That gave me all kinds of material, so I'll be at the Golden Nugget November 20th.
Yeah, but you're not a full-time comedian. You're a lawyer, you're a legislator, and you're part-time. Do the state senator joke real quick.
Well, a state senator was pulled over by a trooper, and the trooper said, license and registration. The state senator, do you know who I am? And the trooper called down to headquarters, said, I got a guy here who doesn't know who he is.
You write this stuff yourself?
No. I steal it.
The funniest lawyer in New Jersey is also the Assembly Republican leader. John, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
All the best to you and your family.
Thanks.
Stay with us right back after this.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, PSE&G, the law firm of Gibbons, PC, NJ Best, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, Fedway Associates, Suez, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ Advance Media and by ROI NJ.